Have you ever felt that something inside you was shifting, quietly without warning? A strange restlessness that you can't quite explain, as if your heart knows something your mind hasn't understood yet. You wake up one morning and the world feels different. The same places, the same people, but something in you has changed. You don't find joy in the things that once made you happy, and what used to feel safe now feels small. You sense that life is calling you somewhere deeper, but you don't know where that somewhere is, and maybe you've tried to silence it. You've tried to be who you were before, smile the same way, talk the same way, live the same way. But no matter how hard you try, you can't go back. Because what's happening inside you isn't confusion, it's awakening. The truth is, there are moments when God begins to transform us from within, long before we can see it with our eyes. It's not loud. It's not obvious. It comes disguised as silence, discomfort, and sometimes emptiness. But what you call emptiness, heaven calls preparation. You might think you're breaking down, but in reality, you're breaking open. You're being guided toward a higher version of yourself, one that walks in deeper peace, stronger faith, and divine purpose. This is the invisible calling, the sacred moment when your soul begins to remember who it truly is. It's when your old self starts to dissolve and a new light begins to rise inside you. And if you're listening to this right now, it's not by chance. Something led you here, a whisper, a sign, a gentle nudge from above. Because maybe what you've been feeling isn't the end of your peace, it's the beginning of your transformation. In this video, we'll walk together through the signs that your spiritual transformation has already begun. How to recognize them, how to embrace them, and how to walk through this divine process with faith instead of fear. So take a deep breath. You are not lost, you are being guided. You are not falling apart, you are being reshaped by sacred hands. And before we go any further, if this message already resonates with something deep within you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Inner Light, Infinite Wisdom. Because here, every word you hear is a reminder that you are never alone, and that your light was meant to rise. Now, let's begin this journey together. Transformation doesn't arrive with fireworks. It doesn't announce itself in thunder or light. It begins quietly, like a whisper in the soul, like dawn pushing gently through the dark. And if you listen closely, you'll notice the signs. They don't appear outside of you first. They begin within. They move through your thoughts, your emotions, your perceptions, slowly shifting the way you see life and the way you see yourself. The first sign is sensitivity. You begin to feel more deeply. Things that once passed by unnoticed now touch you profoundly. You cry more easily, not out of sadness, but because your heart has softened. The beauty of a sunrise, the quiet rustle of leaves, a kind word from a stranger, all of it begins to move you. Your empathy deepens. You start to sense the emotions of others, even without words. It may feel overwhelming at first, like your heart is too open, too exposed. But this sensitivity is not weakness. It is the awakening of divine perception, your spirit learning to feel life as God feels it, fully, compassionately, without barriers. You're no longer just seeing with your eyes, you're perceiving with your soul. The second sign is detachment. Slowly, the things that once consumed you, validation, competition, material desires, lose their hold. The achievements that once defined you begin to feel empty. You realize that success without peace is still failure. And so without trying, you start to let go. This detachment can feel confusing at first. It may seem like you're losing interest in life, but what's really happening is that your soul is reclaiming its focus. You're remembering that fulfillment doesn't come from possession, it comes from purpose, and what once mattered to your ego no longer nourishes your spirit. The third sign is a longing for silence and solitude. Not the kind of silence that isolates, but the kind that heals. You begin to crave quiet moments, to step away from noise and distraction, to sit alone, not because you're lonely, but because solitude feels sacred now. You find peace in the stillness. You start to feel that silence has a sound that whispers peace, clarity, and divine presence. And in that silence, you realize something. God was never far. He was waiting in the quiet, patiently waiting for you to listen. The fourth sign is a deep yearning for meaning. You start asking questions you've never dared to ask. Who am I truly? Why am I here? What is my purpose in this vast and sacred universe? This longing is not a sign of confusion. It's the soul's way of seeking reunion with its source. You stop chasing distractions and start pursuing depth. Books, conversations, and even dreams begin to point toward truth. You feel drawn to what uplifts, what teaches, what awakens, and what once entertained you now feels hollow. Because once your spirit has tasted truth, nothing else can satisfy it. Then one day, something extraordinary happens. You begin to notice peace in the midst of chaos. This is the fifth sign. It's not that life suddenly becomes easy. You still face challenges, but something inside you no longer breaks. It bends, it breathes, but it does not shatter. You start to see storms differently, not as punishments, but as teachers, not as endings, but as beginnings in disguise. Even in pain, you feel an undercurrent of calm, a soft knowing that somehow even this is part of a greater plan. And that peace, that quiet strength, that's the presence of God within you. It's what happens when your soul stops fighting life and starts flowing with it. These are the signs of transformation, not lightning in the sky, but light within the heart. They are not always visible to others, but you can feel them like the pulse of eternity moving through your being. And once they begin, there's no going back. You cannot unfeel what your soul has learned to feel. You cannot unsee what your spirit has awakened to. You may doubt, you may stumble, but you can never again be who you were before. Because transformation is not an event, it's a birth. And every birth begins with contractions, pain, and confusion. But when the light finally breaks through, you understand that every ache was love reshaping you. You are not losing your old self, you are remembering your true self. The version of you that was never lost, just buried beneath expectations, fears, and noise. And as this awareness grows, you realize that God was never outside of you. He was awakening from within. So if you felt these signs, the sensitivity, the detachment, the longing for silence, the search for meaning, the peace that makes no sense, then know this: you're not going crazy. You're awakening. You're not falling apart. You're falling into grace, and the very things that once scared you are now guiding you home. There comes a moment, somewhere between confusion and clarity, when you start noticing small things that feel different. Nothing around you has changed, but everything within you has. This is how transformation begins, quietly, like dawn breaking after a long night. And if you pay attention, you'll start to recognize the signs. The first sign is sensitivity. You begin to feel more. The emotions of others touch you deeply. Music moves you to tears, and even silence carries weight. You're no longer numb to life. You sense everything with new intensity. It's as if your heart has grown eyes and can finally see. But this sensitivity isn't weakness. It's spiritual awareness, the awakening of divine perception. It means your soul has tuned itself to the frequency of truth. The second sign is detachment. What once fascinated you now feels distant. The endless chase for approval, success, or validation, it no longer satisfies you. Not because you've given up, but because your spirit has outgrown the illusion of needing more to be enough. You start to crave something purer, peace. The third sign is solitude, not loneliness, solitude. You begin to enjoy silence not as absence, but as presence. You stop needing noise to fill the spaces within you. You sit quietly and realize that even in stillness, you are surrounded by something sacred. In those moments, you start hearing what the world could never teach you, the whispers of God in your heart. The fourth sign is longing. A hunger for meaning, a yearning to understand why you are here and what you're meant to become. You begin to ask deeper questions. Who am I beyond my roles? What is God trying to teach me through this season? And as you ask, answers begin to appear, sometimes through people, sometimes through coincidences that aren't coincidences at all. Because when the soul is ready, the universe begins to speak in divine language, through timing, through signs, through peace that passes all understanding. And then comes the fifth sign, peace in the midst of chaos. You look around, and though everything may still be uncertain, something inside you has settled. You no longer panic, you trust. You know that even if you don't understand the path, the one guiding it does. This peace doesn't come from the world, it comes from alignment. It's the silent knowing that you are exactly where you are meant to be, even if the map makes no sense yet. When these signs appear, you're no longer who you were, but not yet who you are becoming. You're standing in the sacred space between endings and beginnings, and that's where divine transformation truly happens, in the in-between, where faith replaces fear and surrender becomes strength. Because transformation isn't about becoming something new, it's about remembering who you always were, a soul created in the image of God, rediscovering its light after a long sleep. When transformation begins, the first thing that rises is not always peace. Sometimes it's fear, because every time your soul expands, your mind resists. It clings to what is known, what is safe, what feels familiar. But here's the truth, few ever say out loud, fear isn't your enemy. It's simply the part of you that doesn't yet understand where God is leading, and that's okay. Every awakening brings with it a sacred tension between the person you were and the person you are becoming. The mind fights for control, the soul whispers, "Let go." And somewhere in the space between those two voices, transformation begins to breathe. You see, walking through spiritual change is not about erasing fear. It's about learning to walk beside it without letting it decide the direction. Because fear will always tell you to stay where it's comfortable. But faith will always lead you into the unknown. And that unknown is exactly where miracles are born. The process of divine transformation is often quiet, slow, and deeply personal. It asks you to trust beyond what you can see. It invites you to believe that even when nothing makes sense, something sacred is still unfolding in perfect order. To live this process without fear, you must first understand one thing: God does not rush. He is not late. He is intentional. What feels delayed to you is divine alignment in motion. Think of a seed buried in darkness. It doesn't panic because it can't see the sun. It simply trusts the season. It allows the soil to hold it, the rain to shape it, and the light to find it when the time is right. So it is with your soul. Even when you can't see the growth, it's happening, underneath the surface, in the silence, in the unseen. And while you wait, heaven is working. To walk through this process peacefully, there are 3 sacred attitudes you must nurture. First, acceptance. Stop fighting the hands that are molding you. Stop trying to fix what God is already transforming. Acceptance doesn't mean you like what's happening. It means you trust that it has purpose. It's the moment you release the need to understand and choose instead to rest in divine wisdom. When you accept the process, peace returns. Because peace is not found in control. It's found in surrender. Second, stillness. The world will always tempt you to keep moving, to fill every silence, to distract yourself from what hurts. But transformation requires stillness. It is in the quiet that your soul realigns with truth. It is in the pause that God speaks. He doesn't shout through the noise. He whispers in the stillness, and only those who slow down can hear him. So take moments to breathe, to listen, to be, pray, reflect, write, or simply sit under the sky and remember, you don't have to chase what's meant for you. The light always finds what's ready to receive it. Third, trust divine timing. We often think we're waiting on God, but sometimes he's waiting on us to heal, to grow, to let go of what can't come with us into the next season. Every delay has meaning. Every unanswered prayer is protection in disguise. When God holds something back, it's not rejection, it's redirection. So instead of asking, when will this end, ask, what is this teaching me? When you trust the timing, you stop trying to force what isn't ready. You begin to notice how everything, even the waiting, becomes holy, and little by little fear begins to fade, because you realize you were never alone in the process, you were being carried through it. The truth is, transformation is not something happening to you, it's something happening for you. It's life removing what cannot stay, so that your light can shine without obstruction. One day when you look back, you'll see how every delay had a lesson, every heartbreak had a blessing, and every unanswered prayer had mercy written all over it. So don't run from this process. Walk it with reverence. Let your faith be greater than your fear, and your patience deeper than your pain. Because in the end, the transformation you fear the most will become the very thing that sets you free. And when you finally reach that freedom, you'll smile and realize it was never about losing yourself. It was about finally meeting the version of you that God always knew you could be. Take a deep breath. Let your shoulders relax. Let your thoughts quiet down. Because right now you don't need to understand. You just need to be. Close your eyes and for a moment, let your soul listen. Dear God, when the path feels uncertain and the days feel heavy, teach me to trust your timing. When everything I've known begins to change, remind me that you are the one guiding the shift. When I feel like I'm losing control, help me remember that I was never meant to carry it all alone. Let your peace settle in the spaces where fear has lived. Let your light fill the corners of my heart that still tremble in the dark. If you are removing things from my life, teach me to release them with grace. If you are calling me to something new, give me the courage to take the first step, even when I can't see the path ahead. Transform my worry into wisdom, turn my pain into purpose, shape my heart so that it mirrors your love. And when silence surrounds me, let me know that it's not absence, it's presence. Your quiet way of saying, I am here. Help me see your fingerprints in every moment, in the rising sun, in the laughter of a stranger, in the storm and in the stillness. Remind me that transformation isn't about becoming someone else, but becoming more of who you created me to be. So today, I surrender, not in defeat, but in faith, because I know you are working in ways I cannot yet see. Amen. When transformation takes root, something extraordinary happens. The world no longer feels like something you must survive. It becomes something you're meant to illuminate. You begin to realize that nothing was wasted. Every tear watered the soil of your growth. Every unanswered prayer was redirection, not rejection. Every loss carved space for light to enter. God was never absent. He was working quietly in the background, turning your confusion into clarity, your pain into strength, your waiting into wisdom. And one day, you'll look back and understand, everything that once hurt you was actually shaping you for grace. This is the beauty of spiritual transformation. It doesn't change who you are. It reveals who you've always been, a being of light, love, and divine purpose. If this message spoke to your heart, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to Inner Light, Infinite Wisdom, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next reflection. Share it with someone who needs to be reminded that God is still at work in their story. And tell us in the comments which part of this message touched you the most. Your words may become the light someone else needs today. Remember, transformation is not a destination. It's a journey guided by divine hands, and every step, even the painful ones, is part of your awakening. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, keep your vibration high and your mind connected to the divine.